Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy G, and I wanted to come and talk to you guys about something that is near and dear to my heart. It's something that's near and dear to a lot of killer players' hearts: hex totems, right? And the inherent problem that hex totems have. So, here's the thing: hex totems are meant to be this amazing perk that you only get temporarily because it's associated with a hex. However, it's not really viable, right? It's not really something that you can use and be like, okay, you know, I got hex. I got a hex totem. Like if you're using Devour Hope or a Hex Retribution or even Ruin. Oh God, Ruin. Like it's not going to stay up. The moment they know that you have a Hex, they're going to look at it. Now, they're going to look at it and get rid of it. Now, here's the problem with Hexes, right? The problem with Hexes in this game is that either A, the Hexes are not worth them being Hexes, or B, the Hexes inherently or like a band-aid fix on a main problem with the game, right? Like most people who run hex totems either run it as like a meme thing, unless it's ruin and undying, right? And that's a whole different thing. Or they run like no ed, because no ed you can't really cleanse unless you cleanse every single totem. Now, my problem with hex totems in general is that they're not worth it. And I feel like that's the community's problem with hex totems. Hex totems are extremely not worth it. They're not worth running, right? Outside of Ruin, that you can see right here in my build, I have Corrupt, Pop, Ruin. And that's the generic sweaty killer build, right? You'll see it on Dousies, you'll see it on Trues, Odds, all that. Pop, Corrupt, Ruin. Now before Undying got nerfed, it was just Ruin, Undying. You didn't really need Corrupt. But because Undying's nerfed and everybody knows that Ruin won't last, Ruin will probably last you maybe 2 minutes or so. Like in this match, this Ruin didn't really last me much at all. It's inconsistent, right? It's not consistent. It's not very potent when it really needs to be, and it's kind of like you're missing a perk slot. And I get that's the whole point of having a hex, but at such a cost that it's so easy to get rid of hex totems that it's kind of hard for me to sit here and justify hex totems being gone so quickly. And I don't want to say that you shouldn't be able to cleanse hex totems, because that's definitely not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that totem spawns, which are the main reason why hex totems get cleansed the way they are trash. Not only are totem spawns trash, but a lot of the hex perks that come with hexes aren't worth it. When you think about hex perks, you usually think about Noed, you think about Devour, and Ruin and Undying. But there are so many other hex perks. There's Huntress Lullaby, there's Hex Retribution, there's Haunted Ground, there's all these other hex perks that nobody uses. There's a whole category of perks that nobody touches unless they're trying to meme, right? Thrill of the Hunt. And the devs try to band-aid this with more hex perks. So it's very confusing to me how survivors have perks that you can't really get rid of that are meant to destroy hexes, but there's no hex protection perk that you can't really get rid of, right? The only hex protection perk that's there is Undying, Thrill of the Hunt, Retribution, and Haunted Ground. But all of those are cleansable, right? Now, the whole beauty behind Undying was that paired with Ruin, even if the spawns were bad, which we know the spawns are bad. The spawns on the map are terrible. Even if the spawns were bad, you still had a chance for Ruin to be somewhat usable. Now, Ruin Undying isn't the most fun meta to go against for a lot of people, right? A lot of survivors said that, hey, this is boring. I don't want the Ruin Undying meta. That's all everybody uses at high level and things like that. Well, I want to use this as a counterpoint. With Ruin Undying, it allowed for more build diversity at higher level. The build that I'm running right now, outside of Dying Light, is the generic killer build, right? This is the build that you're mostly going to be seeing. Now, getting rid of Undying doesn't fix the problem that Undying posed, which is that the perk selection is bad. Now, if they were to implement better hexes or fix totem spawns, you might see that more diversity in perk selection, right? You might see more diversity in Devour, you might see more hex retributions. And the thing about hex retribution and perks like it, you know, the lesser tier hex perks, they're not worth them being hexes. Like sometimes you have hexes that are just too good, you know, like Noed. I wouldn't even say Noed is too good. Noed is kind of just a cheeky solution to you not being able to kill anybody till late game. But you have perks that are essentially useless, that are tied to totems, right? Like, I can't think of any world where hex retribution works without it being a troll, you know, or without you having a specific build like around hex retribution, or you didn't have anything else or anything like that. Like hex retribution really isn't something that's really good, right? Like Huntress Lullaby is like your poor man's Ruin, meant to slow down the game. And it's something that you have to work for, right? Like you have to actually hook people for it to work. And it's not even guaranteed to slow down games. It's just guaranteed to make the survivors pay attention. Now it's amazing at low rank when they're just now learning skill checks and things like that, but you know, when a survivor knows what he's doing, the moment you get purple, greens, especially reds, the mentality, the ease that they can hit skill checks puts it to shame. And I feel like that in itself makes Huntress Lullaby kind of outdated and kind of not good. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're running like a whole like skill check doctor build and you just throw Huntress Lullaby on there to be cheeky, then yeah, you can get some use out of it. But it's not something you run and think to yourself, okay, I'm doing something amazing. I got this and I feel all powerful, which is the whole point of hex totems, right? You're supposed to do a hex totem and feel all powerful. Like, hey, I got this, it's online, the game is way in my favor. That's the whole point of hex totems. That's the reason they're hex totems, because they're too powerful to be permanent, right? Like if you think about Older Run, I know a lot of people don't even remember Older Run. Older Run, where even if you hit a good skill check, it'll regress. That was worth being a hex totem because it was just really, really strong, and it should be cleansable. Devour Hope, that is really, really strong. Once you can get it going, it's a perk that you have to earn, as well as be able to have it cleansed. But it's the fact that hex perks require two requirements. They usually require that A, you have to work to get use out of it, just like every other perk, or B, you have to also guard it. So you have to do A and B versus A or B. You know what I'm saying? Like Undying is probably like one of the only hex perks and Haunted Ground where you really don't protect it. You know what I'm saying? You don't really protect Undying. Undying just is. And that's why with the Undying nerf, hexes are rarely used at higher levels of play. You know, you might still catch somebody using a Devour, or you may catch a few people using Noed at the very end, but Undying's not really for Noed. It's more for Ruin, and it's more for perks like that that really are meant to make big changes in the game so they can stay up longer. And without addressing the core issues of hex perks are going to forever remain a niche thing, right? Like, nobody's going to take a hex perk that seriously. Like, as amazing as Ruin is, there's a reason you need 2 other perks to compensate for it at higher levels of play, right? You can't just run Ruin. And even then, Ruin only works when you earn it, because you have to force survivors off of the gens, right? It's not just a passive thing. It's not like, oh, the moment they touch a gen, it just starts regressing. No, it's like they get on a gen, you get them in the chase, you run them off the chase, boom, gen starts regressing, and then you get value out of your Ruin. Right, then you get value out of the hex perk. But for something that could be cleansed in the first 3 seconds, it's something that requires like 10 seconds or more to really get value from, because you have to chase somebody. I don't think that that's worth it. Now, it will be worth it if the spawns, like I said, were better, and that is my kind of consensus on it, is that the spawns on the maps need to be better than they are, right? And there has to be more incentive besides like Ruin and Devour Hope. There has to be more incentive to have these hex perks be hex perks, right? Because as they are now, these perks are just perks that are attached to hexes. They're perks that you can cleanse, right? And some of these perks don't even deserve to be hex perks. You know, I'm looking at you, Retribution. I'm looking at you, Lullaby. I'd rather you double the amount of hooks you need for Lullaby stacks and make it a permanent perk. Then Lullaby will be a lot better, in my opinion. But I think that just goes to show you that the devs, when they make a lot of the game, they really make perks as solution to some of the problems that people have in the game. You don't like this, you have a perk for that. So the main issue that I have with the game is just keeping control of the gens, right? Keeping control of the gens against a really coordinated team. That's my issue. There are perks for that, but none of these perks on their own are so potent that that's all you could run for that. Now that goes to the whole debate of if they were as potent as they needed to be, then everybody would just run multiple of them. But that's what happens when you make so many perks for band-aid solutions. You know, and I feel like that's a very unhealthy way to balance the game. Make perks for band-aid solutions and to not try to address the solutions in a core way. But yeah, that's my idea, guys. Please let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. It helps me so much. Please subscribe for more content, as I do try to make regular content, and even pop in for Twitch sometime if you guys ever want to catch me live. All right, guys. Peace.